Hey, good morning, listeners, and welcome to Lease Talk Africa, powered by Velocity Global Leasing, where leasing knowledge meets African opportunity. I am your host today, Dr. Rosalind Maura, and today's episode is one of those that is kind of personal and very close to me. Let me ask you this. If you have built a business or you know somebody who has built a business, chances are someone told them very early on that owning the asset, owning the truck, owning the machine, owning that building was the first thing that they should have focused on. And I understand that instinct. It comes from wanting security, wanting control. But today, I want to challenge that instinct with one question. What if that ownership is actually costing you? Let's look at it from a different angle. In our country, we see this mostly happening in the transport industry. A transport company that spends 8 million shillings on a truck is now going to spend another 600,000 a year maintaining it, insuring it, and servicing the debt on it, while a competitor leased a newer model, pays a fixed monthly cost, and has zero maintenance liability. Who do you think is growing faster? That is our focus today. Now, today we are looking at Africa is not short of ambition, but short of access. What if I told you you would access that truck, that equipment with lower operating costs? Okay, so let's dive into our episode today. And today we are going to look at accessing the equipment. Because sometimes when we talk about leasing, we make it sound too technical, too complex. We talk about pricing, residual value, documentation, tax, compliance, risk and credit. And all these jargons matter. Yes, they do. But underneath all those technical words is something much bigger. Access to the equipment, access to growth, access to opportunity, and access to the tools for the people who need to build. The truth is, across Africa, there are people with many ideas, great ideas. A farmer who knows how to increase production but does not have the tractor. Sounds familiar? A clinic that could serve more patients but cannot afford the diagnostic machine. Is that more familiar now? Or a transport business with customers waiting but no truck to move the goods. There's a contractor somewhere who has the skill but cannot access the excavator, or a manufacturer with demand but needs to upgrade his machinery. And when we look at these businesses, we sometimes say they are not ready, they are too small, they are too risky, they lack collateral. But maybe the deeper truth is this: they are not lacking any of that. They are not lacking ambition. They are just lacking access. And that is why leasing matters. So today I'd like to reframe leasing. It's not just a way to finance equipment. At its best, leasing is a bridge between potential and production, a bridge between that idea and income, between effort and skill. It's a bridge for a business owner's dream and the equipment that can make it real. And that is why mature markets use leasing so powerfully. They understand that ownership is not always the starting point. Sometimes access must come first, because when people get access to productive assets, they then can begin to create. They can serve customers. They can employ people. They can pay taxes. Their businesses can expand, and they can build wealth. That is the real story of leasing. So why is this conversation urgent, or why does this conversation matter now? Africa is growing. Our continent is growing at a very rapid rate. Our cities are growing. Our populations are young. Our SMEs are hungry and aggressive. Our infrastructure needs are massive. They are calling for upgrades. Our food systems need mechanization. I need not to expound on that. Our hospitals need better equipment. Our transport networks need reliable fleets. Our manufacturers need modern tools. The demand is already there. But if the equipment finance ecosystem does not mature fast enough the way the continent is growing, many opportunities will remain trapped, not because the market is absent, but because the structure is weak. And that is where professionals like you and I come in, my colleagues in banking, asset finance teams, leasing practitioners, equipment dealers, SME advisors, investors, policy advocates, business owners, and the government. You are not just participants in this market. You are builders of the ecosystem. So the gap is the skill, but we have to be honest. Leasing cannot grow on passion or ambition alone. It requires a skill. It requires people who understand how to structure leasing transactions properly, how to price those transactions, how to protect margins for both the financier and the business owner or the leasing practitioner, how to assess that asset, how to read a business cash flows, evaluate residual values, help build vendor partnerships, how to document that transaction, and obviously how to protect both the financier and the customer. Because when leasing is done badly, everybody suffers. The bank takes losses, the customer feels trapped, the equipment dealer loses trust, the market becomes afraid of the product, and complexity sets in. But when leasing is done well, everybody can win. The customer gets access, the financier earns profits, the dealer sells more vehicles, more equipment, the economy becomes more productive. And that is the standard we must build toward. So today, I would like also to give all these professionals an identity shift. Sit back and look at it this way. I'm inviting you to just look at things differently. If you work in leasing, asset finance, banking, equipment sales, or SME support, you are not just processing transactions, you are shaping access. You are shaping the future of these businesses. You are deciding whether a business gets the tool it needs to grow or not. You are helping capital meet productivity. You are helping equipment move from being inventory in a yard to becoming income in someone's business. That is powerful work that you're doing, and it deserves better knowledge, better tools, and better structure. Because Africa does not just need more deals, it needs better deals. Deals that are profitable, deals that are ethical, deals that are well structured, deals that can scale, deals that create impact without creating unnecessary risk. And that's why Velocity Global Leasing is hosting a masterclass for 5 days, starting on May 15th. And this masterclass is created to help businesses, to help business owners, financiers, the whole ecosystem create profitable equipment leasing, not as a theory, not as another long lecture, but as practical working session for people who want to understand leasing clearly and apply it confidently. In this 2-hour masterclass, we will break down the core building blocks of profitable equipment leasing. We will look at how to structure a leasing transaction in detail, how to understand the numbers behind the deal, how to protect margins, how to think about risk, how to avoid common mistakes, how to identify better customers, how to work with vendors and negotiate with the equipment dealers or the vehicle dealers, and how to use leasing as a growth tool, not just as a finance product. And most importantly, you will live with these practical tools, not just ideas, tools. That is a margin thinking framework, a lease structuring checklist, a risk lens, a deal flow, perspective, and a clearer understanding of how mature markets approach leasing differently. So, I know this sounds very exciting, but let me be very clear. The masterclass is specifically important for the people who can feel that this continent, this country is ready for something bigger. People who know that equipment leasing has been underutilized. People who can see that SMEs need access. People who can see that banks need better leasing portfolios. People who can see that dealers need stronger financing partnerships. People who can see that productive assets must move faster into the hands of people who can use them. If that is you, if this resonates with you, then this is your room. This is your conversation. Own it. This is where we begin building the knowledge base that the market needs. And because this is the founding session, seats are limited. That matters because we want this masterclass to be practical, focused, and interactive. We want people to come with real questions, real opportunities, real challenges, real deals that they're trying to understand. It's not just content, it's going to be a working room. I believe our continent's future will not be built by ambition and talk alone. It will be built when that ambition meets access, when that farmer can access machinery, when hospitals can access modern equipment, when transporters can access fleets, when that manufacturer can upgrade or access modern production tools, and when young businesses can access assets before they can afford to own them fully. That is the promise of leasing. And for that promise to become real, we need people who are committed, who understand the product deeply enough to structure it responsibly. That is why this work matters. That is why this conversation matters, and exactly why this masterclass matters and it is important. Because when leasing works, businesses move. And when businesses move, economies move. So if you're a banker, asset finance professional, equipment dealer, vehicle dealer, SME advisor, investor, entrepreneur, or a business leader who wants to understand how equipment leasing can unlock growth, I invite you to join the upcoming Profitable Equipment Leasing Masterclass. It is a 2-hour practical session that is designed to help you move from interest to clarity and from clarity to action. Seats are limited for the founding cohort. Click the link in the show notes to reserve your seat. And if this episode connected with you, share it with one person who believes our continent needs better access to productive assets. This is Lease Talk Africa, powered by Velocity Global Leasing. Until next time, remember, Africa is not short of ambition. Africa is short of access, and leasing can help bridge that gap. See you and take care.